Kim Kaufman, you keep talking about filing a 35C. What have you actually done about it? Stop talking about it and do it. I'm waiting. I'm actually looking forward to see the response that you're going to get. I really am. I am so looking forward to it. I'm urging you, please file the 35C as soon as possible. I want Cindy and Ronnie to pay for every lawyer that they can. Stop rambling. Stop talking in circles. Stop talking in monologues, these rambling streams. You keep talking about the 35C, and what have you done? Nothing. File the 35C. I have no problems with you doing that. I am very much looking forward to see the response that you're going to get, because it will be rejected. And even if he did get his sentence reduced, he's still going to be in prison for the rest of his life until he dies or escapes. Please file the 35C, Kim, and stop talking about it. Do it. Put your money where your mouth is. So Kim Kaufman appears to be back. So all the stuff that AD was saying about her leaving, fleeing, disappearing, that she's in trouble and all that kind of stuff, not quite true as yet, but I do urge you to keep reporting her. I'm thinking about calling the Dodge correctional facility, whatever it's called, within a month if I don't see her removed. I'm annoyed with what she's doing. I'm angry with what she's doing, and what she's doing is downright wrong. But this is an opportunity to respond to some of the things that she was saying in her latest video, and that is the idea that Chris Watts could not have gone from being a perfect, loving, caring father to a cold-blooded murderer. And I think Kim Kaufman, I think she plays dumb. She's not stupid. She knows full well that Shan'Ann didn't kill her children. The Watts know full well that Shan'Ann didn't kill her children, but they're playing a psychological game. And this is what narcissists do, because they like to control the narrative. They like to be in control, and they like to manipulate people. And the Watts have been doing that for quite some time regarding the Watts case. But, you know, if you look at people like Ted Bundy, everyone who knew Ted Bundy thought he was the most loving person. There were no red flags. Everyone said that he was a wonderful, loving, nice guy, charming, alluring, engaging. And the dating game killer, Rodney Alcala, everyone who knew him before his mask was taken off, everyone said that this was just the most nicest guy that they've ever met. One of his teachers said that he would not hurt a fly, and he was one of the most prolific serial killers in all of America. And that's the thing about covert narcissists, is that they appear to be very benign on the surface until their mask is taken off. And I think with Chris Watts, he was playing a role all throughout his life. And I think that's how he got his narcissistic supply. And if you're playing a role all your life and you're not genuinely being yourself throughout your entire life, one day you're going to start resenting that you're playing this role. One day you're going to do something to gratify your own needs. And I think that when he discarded his family, that's exactly what he was doing. He was fulfilling, for once in his life, he was now fulfilling his own needs. He'd already started fulfilling his own needs when he started the affair with Nicole Kessinger. And the final discard of Shan'Ann and his family was just him fulfilling his entire needs and getting rid of them. Kim was talking about how Chris was looking for an apartment for him and the girls, and that might have been what he told his family. I don't know. I wasn't there. But Chris Watts is a very manipulative and deceptive person, and it might have been the case that when he thought about and planned what he was going to do, he planned the discarding of Shan'Ann. He might have initially not thought about, getting rid of the girls. It might have just been Shan'Ann. At some point, he changed his mind, and we don't know exactly when this idea was conceived to discard his entire family. We don't know exactly when this motion was set into plan, or this plan was set into motion. So the idea that Kim is trying to say, oh, but he was such a nice guy. He can't go from a nice guy to being an absolute monster. Well, we've seen through the history of time, serial killers like Ted Bundy and Rodney Alcala and many others, they played the nice guy. They had the nice guy face, the smiley face. They wore their masks very, very, very well until they were exposed for who they really were. So her argument that Chris couldn't possibly have gone from being a loving husband and father to being a monster is completely ridiculous. But she knows what she's saying is ridiculous. But it's a game that the Watts and Kim Kaufman are playing. It's a game. It's a psychological game to change public opinion. They know full well that the appeal is not going to work, because even if he got a reduced sentence, it would still effectively be a life sentence. The fact of the matter is that he's never getting out. They're also playing this game of, they're playing the game of, Shan'Ann did it and there might be other people involved. And she was saying that no one else was involved before. And she was saying that Nicole Kessinger wasn't involved before. But, she's kind of seems to be altering her story a little bit now to suit the public narrative a little bit more. But, it's all a game. The Watts appointed their flying monkeys. They started doing this 2 years ago from the very beginning. They went to Critical K to put their narrative out there that Shan'Ann was the bad person. That relationship broke down. And then we've had Miss Mensa, who paid me a visit the other day. She wrote a few comments under my podcast. I kept some of them up. That's a whole nother episode. But Miss Mensa has made contact with me. And, so they used her, they used Critical K, and now they're using this Kim Kaufman to put their narrative out there. Then the Watts are not really looking for the truth. What they're trying to do is control the narrative and make people sympathize with Chris. And, this idea that Shan'Ann did it, there's no proof of that. The autopsy already cleared her name. And I'm not going to go into that again because I've already said that. Kim knows that she is just playing a game. I mean, she knows that it's nonsense. She doesn't believe that... She knows full well that Shan'Ann didn't harm her children. The Watts know full well that Shan'Ann didn't harm her children. But the narrative that she's putting out there is just a psychological game for whatever gain she's looking for. It's a game that she's playing to gain for herself. And whether that be money, notoriety, 15 minutes of fame, whatever, that's all it is. That's all it's about. But this idea that he can't have gone from being a nice guy to annihilating his entire family. Sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists. There's a pattern of these type of people in history who, these people, they seem like nice people until their mask is taken off. And that's exactly the thing with Chris. He was wearing a mask for so much of his life. And it came to the point where he just got tired of wearing a mask and tired of playing the nice guy. And that's it. I mean, Ted Bundy was like a very charming guy. People thought he was affable. He was intelligent. Even the judge who sentenced him said that he was a bright man. He would have loved to see him succeed in life and practice law, but he went the other way. I mean, a lot of these sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, they appear to be really nice people on the surface. And this is the thing that Kim doesn't seem to understand, or she's just deciding to play dumb. I don't think she's nearly as dumb as she sounds. She's just playing a psychological game with us all. I also think this idea that Chris couldn't have done it because he was planning, she said that he was talking about alimony and working out how much he would have to pay Shan'Ann and the girls. The fact of the matter is, Chris Watts, he did not have the money to support Shan'Ann. He was broke. That's what I'm trying to say. She's saying that, he had figured out what he'd have to pay Shan'Ann, and he'd figured out, moving with the girls. He did not have the money to pay Shan'Ann. He was literally going to be filing for bankruptcy yet again. What I don't understand is how come no one picked up on the fact that they were living beyond their means. That's what I don't understand. Colorado is a very expensive place. It's a place where a lot of people who have money live. And places like Breckenridge, Frederick, Denver, Aspen, Vail, all of these are very expensive places. And Chris Watts was a field coordinator. How did no one pick up on the fact that that house would have been far, far too much for them? Nicole Kessinger didn't pick up on it. None of their families picked up on it. I mean, I've seen bigger houses. I mean, I'm not like bowled over by their house because I've been to nice houses. I've lived in nice houses, and I've seen big houses. But it was a nice house, and it was certainly a very spacious house. I think it was a perfect size house, to be honest with you. Not too big, not too small, but it was certainly larger than the average house. But there's no way on the planet that he would have been able to afford that type of house as working as a field coordinator on his salary. So how did people not recognize or figure out that they were living beyond their means? That's one of the questions that I've tried to ask myself or tried to figure out. Chris Watts simply, Kim Kaufman is saying that he was going to pay child support and he was going to take responsibility. He simply would not have been able to afford child support for 3 kids, for Shan'Ann. He would not have been able to afford it. He was broke. I mean, that's as simple as that. But, there's no help for Chris Watts. Chris Watts, he'll be in prison for the rest of his life. And, they're well aware of that. The Watts are well aware of that. Kim Kaufman is well aware of that. It's just a game that they're playing. It's a psychological game. Narcissists, they feed off each other. They use people, they use each other, and they feed off of each other. And that's exactly what's happening here. Narcissists are being used by narcissists, and narcissists are playing games. Multiple games are being played. Multiple psychological games to try and change public opinion, to try and get sympathy for Chris Watts. There's no window of hope, because I hear AD saying, oh, there's a window of hope, or the window of hope is gone. Now you've got this Kim woman. There was never a window of hope. He will never see the light of day unless he escapes or dies. And, he's never going to be released. And even if he got his sentence reduced, he has 4 or 5 life sentences. So even if he got 2 of those life sentences reduced, he would still be in prison for the remainder of his life. And that's exactly where he belongs.